So I said, "Ma'am, put your top back on," and then she looked. Oh, we're live.
Oh,
we're
wow.
Live.
Hopefully it's getting crazy.
Sorry. Yes.
We are live here
camera.
in this camera, the one
Yes.
with the red light on it.
Yes.
So here's what's happening. Those of you watching us, we are recording a podcast. Those of you listening to us on the podcast, we're recording a live video. We have our producer Kyle here.
Hello.
Kyle got in front of the camera for this, Tate. This is exciting news. We have
Not
Moses
only that,
here.
we put him front and center, which is I'm sure he's really happy about that. On a Friday morning after working late, editing a podcast, maybe went out after the fact, maybe had a few
who's
drinks.
to say? You'll never know.
Great
So,
stuff. Hair of the draft is what we're calling this, by the way.
Yeah, what are we
great
trying to
name.
accomplish here? What is this?
I think
Why
we
am
had-
I here on a Friday?
Well, let's be honest. I think we're here this morning because we couldn't do anything last night. So we're here this morning, and we want to break down all things that happened in the draft as far as it pertains to college basketball and to us.
Yes.
Because we're making it about us.
This is not about what these guys mean to the next the teams they're going to. This isn't about like, is Ty Jerome going to be a 7-time All-Star or just a 5-time All-Star? Like those debates, I'll leave to the other people.
Yes.
For us, these are our guys. We groomed them in college. We watched them. And when I say we, I mean you and I. We helped these kids get to where
Kyle
they are.
listened. Yes.
Yes, Kyle. Kyle, do you
I
recognize any
copied
of
and
these
pasted
names?
some
Kyle?
shit into a Google Doc. I
Yes,
know that.
yes.
For
How
a
many
fact.
names did you recognize last night? A lot of them.
It was like old friends. It was like, I heard of this guy before.
We'll do a Kyle's guy segment where we ask Kyle who was this guy of the draft, right?
Sure thing.
I mean, let's talk about a Kyle guy real quick that
Okay.
changed his name. Lugans Dort is now Lou Dort, right?
Really?
He only goes L-U Dort, so like he didn't get drafted, so obviously the name change didn't help. So maybe that was a
So no one
problem.
noticed.
No one knew.
Earlier.
But that used to be your boy, Arizona State's own, Lugans Dort.
Yes, I remember talking about
Yes.
him. It was
Now-
in the back, rattling in the back of my mind. Like
now
I heard the
Lou
name
Dort.
before. Very
I
good.
want to
tough.
start. I want to start with this because let's break down like individual players, picks we liked, all that other shit later. I want to look at the draft as a broadcast event because I feel like I'm one of the few people left on earth who tune into the NBA draft just for pure entertainment. Everyone is the nerds have taken over our society. They want to break down what the picks mean for the teams and they're tracking the trades and like they're following Woj on Twitter, and that's what the draft has become. There are still dumbasses like me that just want to turn the TV on for a few hours, watch the draft, see what the guys are wearing, see what comparisons Chauncey Billups is throwing out there. He said Kawhi Leonard, or he said Rui Hachimura is Kawhi Leonard, but then
young Kawhi
yeah,
Leonard,
and then like everyone's like, Chauncey, what? And he's like, young. I mean, young.
I'm talking year one Kawhi.
I'm talking like 7-year-old Kawhi Leonard.
November, December Kawhi with the Spurs.
And then I think his phrase that he used was that Hachimura is great at defense on both ends of the floor, which was interesting way to I can't tell. He obviously didn't say it on purpose, but it was that's a kind of a fun insult that I want to use on somebody that like sucks at, like Aaron Kraft. He was great at defense on both ends of the floor. It's a great great line.
I see. I
Yeah, you
get
see what
it. No, it all comes.
Yeah, you see it.
Yeah, it's all coming full
That is
circle.
good.
I was going to say, it's a really tough position for Chauncey to be in, just to be there and say, hey, Chauncey, who's this guy remind you of? Who's this guy going to be in the future? Is he going to be a superstar? And then Chauncey by himself is like,
Also, good morning. Wake up.
Well,
yeah,
hold
maybe.
on. Now
We'll see.
let's pump the brakes here. It's tough if that's like Charles Barkley in that position, who just doesn't really give a shit about college basketball and just wants to watch NBA all the time, and then they ask him to care. Is Chauncey Billups not trying to be a GM? Do I understand this correctly? Was he not almost the GM of the Cavs? So like, shouldn't this man? I don't know. It's my understanding that he was angling to be a GM. And that this should be.
Look, you know this. You don't
like-
have to prepare for jobs. So once you get thrust into it, you know what I mean? You just
real.
figure it out.
I know this better than anybody.
No, we all know it.
So let's talk about the broadcast, though. The whole event. Just our thoughts on that. First of all, this was the most emotional draft I've ever watched in my life. I almost felt bad for thinking that I might have fun watching this thing because, like, from the onset, Zion set the tone. He's bawling his eyes out. And he tells America, you are not going to have fun watching this draft tonight. This is not a fun draft. We're going to be hearing sad stories all night. Maria Taylor is going to bring up all sorts of relatives. Yes, it was crazy. And then you sprinkle in like even the stuff not within the broadcast, like Kobe White losing his mind when Cam Johnson was drafted. Like that was a cool moment. Yeah.
Wow. That's love, bro.
Did you see
That's
Jordan?
love.
Did you see the Jordan Bone video where his family like tackled him? He didn't think he was going to get drafted, and then. He gets picked like 57th, I think, something like that.
And
then his
also,
whole family,
right now,
like,
Jordan Bone, I was just telling Cobb before we got on, Pelicans are currently in discussions to trade this pick to the Hawks, who will trade the pick to the Sixers, who will trade the pick to the Pistons. So poor Jordan Bone's getting hugged by everybody, and they're like, where are you going, Jordan? He's like, I don't know.
when the
They're
dust
trading the
settles,
pick everywhere.
he's gonna end up in Australia playing with LaMelo Ball. He's like, fuck.
Yes, I'm on. Yes, the Breakers.
How'd that happen? No, it was it's cool. I'm not saying they shouldn't have done that. It was just not what I expected at all for the tone of the draft to be. There were a lot of cool stories. So like I welcomed it all. It was just like Zion set the. Do you think that's my question? I guess. Do you think Zion set the tone? Like when they saw Zion crying, and then you get Ja Morant, his dad's up there with the hat. He's the second pick, and his dad. He famously said, "My dad was my first hater."
Yeah.
Do you think? And then like they got that moment where like the dad relationship, and they're showing the clips of him that clip of him jumping into a tractor tire 400 times.
It's pretty wild
do you
that
think,
John Morant's dad was grits and gravy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like Kansas City, Missouri. Pretty much like he walked out just like that.
Do you think that's what set the tone for, or do you think ESPN went into this draft saying we're gonna lean heavily on these stories? Because Kobe White wrote the thing in the Players Tribune about his dad. That was obviously a story they knew.
Father. Yeah.
So there were a lot of stories to tell. I just wonder if this was like it had to be like a concentrated effort, or if it was like Maria Taylor just got really comfortable asking about like, so your dad, and then he sticks the microphone in the face, and then the guy or your. So talk about your mom a little bit, and then they start crying, and but that was like every interview. It was wild.
I will say, since like Kevin Durant, you're the real MVP. That moment with mom, with Wanda, where he points out and is like, this is not about me. This is about my mom, and that's when the bag mom era really kind of just popped off. We start seeing like Wendell Carter's mom, like the parents are heavily involved now. We're in the second generation for a lot of these guys, where it's like, if your dad didn't play in the NBA and you don't have a great story behind, if you just were like, I grew up in the suburbs and went to private school and got a scholarship, and I'm happy to be 6'9" and I got drafted, basically everyone's like, screw you, dude.
Yeah.
Like, go to China.
Your parents are like managers, like wrestling managers now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
the
the early
wall-
2000s.
Ja Morant's dad was legit like.
like pointing at Zion's like stepdad. Like everyone's like, what is going on right now? I'm glad I have this guy. But yeah, even the intro with the parents when they walked out and announced him is like, so and so. Tyler Hero is walking with his brothers, and everyone's got like their.
That's
little,
pretty cool though, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the whole point of the draft. Yeah, it was. I'm not saying this was a bad thing. It was just very different from what we're used to with the draft, and I was not prepared for it last night. Like basically, I was not prepared to cry watching the NBA draft. I did not think that would happen, and coincidentally, it did not happen because I have no heart. So like I was not actually a fan.
Do you think
I'm a tough guy.
Do you think the brotherhood obviously is like something that's been trickled down to all these different schools, and then we have
No,
like,
Duke started it.
everyone wants
Duke
to
invented the
started it.
concept.
No, we should know
of,
Duke started it.
Duke invented the concept.
So everyone
of
wants to be a part of a
former players
family.
being
So like the
friends.
NBA is now like, we're gonna go so far into family, like your whole family's gonna be here. Like even if you didn't know, like I was hoping it'd be like a Jerry Springer moment where like someone would pop out and you're like, and also your uncle's here, and he like runs out. It's like I told him when he was 4 he's gonna be in the NBA. He used to guard his little ass. Like that was that's what it felt like at some level, which was fun. But then we had the great stories behind it, so it all.
I thought, other than that, this whole broadcast was pretty boring. And I'm not trying to be a hater, but it feels like we've gotten to this point where
I like to think that Chauncey Billups is watching us right now, and he's like, in my opinion, this is a boring broadcast.
Yeah. Chauncey's gonna do a podcast about this broadcast.
Yeah, just like incept it all. Yes. But overall, a little boring.
We didn't have Fran Fraschilla. That's my favorite part of every draft is Fran coming on there saying who was the first international guy picked? I don't remember.
Sekou.
Yeah. Fran, he would come on here with some story about how this kid used to hike in the French Alps when he was a child, and it was basically like the same thing that was happening with Ja Morant, where they're showing the videos, but Fran would like tell those stories about like how this kid would do this thing, and then he carried this bucket of water down a mountain, and that's when there was a shaman standing at the base of the mountain that said, "Son, you're gonna play in the NBA someday." And like Fran's going on and on for 15 minutes on these stories, and it's my favorite part of every draft. And then you get the 2 years away from being 2 years away. Comments like that. We didn't get any of that.
It makes the 5 minutes in between more bearable.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. We didn't get any of that. It was Reese Davis, Chauncey Billups, Jay Bilas, all fine men. Let's be honest, not the most exciting guys to have on the panel. I wanted someone on that panel that would react to the picks. I mean, not to kiss Bill's ass, but like Bill fist pumping is hilarious. Or even like Jay Will or Jalen or someone like that who would actually lose their mind at a certain pick. Like Cam Johnson would get drafted, they'd be like, what the fuck? Cam Johnson, like there'd be some sort of reaction. Instead, it was like Chauncey's like, yeah, it's an interesting pick. And
I think Cam
Chauncey
Johnson
was sedated.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, well,
It was very
Chauncey was
strange.
like, I had no idea I had to come up with this many comparisons for these
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
Like,
I thought I was gonna switch out with Adam Silver for the first
He's
round.
like, I thought this was a lottery thing. Like, I don't know who Chuma Okeke is,
Yeah.
but Tracy McGrady. That's who he reminds me of. So that's kind of like where it got to a point. And like you were saying, like when Cam Johnson goes 11, someone should stand up from their chair and run around. Like Reese Davis
Someone
should
should
have
fall
gone
out of
insane.
their chair
Yes.
and like it should have
Yes.
been an event.
Yes.
It's an event. Like
Yes.
make it an event. And
Yes.
instead they're like,
Like
okay,
the
so
meme,
let's-
like like I cannot believe.
But instead it's like Reese Davis, like let's take a look at his analytics. There was his stats right there. Jay, what do you think about this guy? And then he's like, Jay Bilas is like wingspan, and then they like
Cam Johnson is a gamer.
yeah.
And then blah, blah,
How
blah,
about
blah.
Jay though? Jay Bilas, shout out to him who going into this draft, he basically was just like take Carolina and Duke guys. And that was I looked at like his best available and it was just all Carolina and Duke guys, and I laughed at how on the nose that was for Bilas to just pick all Carolina and Duke guys. And lo and behold, the draft is basically all Carolina and Duke guys early on. Big win for Jay.
It was a
on
big
that
one
one.
for Jay, and it was like basically 5 of his top 10, right? That's what we figured
Yeah.
out were Carolina or Duke.
Yeah, and I
guys,
thought it was
which-
preposterous. I was like, he has Cam Johnson way too high. He has he had Cam Reddish like higher than most people, and then I don't know. It all worked out for Jay Bilas. Good for you, Jay.
Good job, Jay. And also Jay Williams, in case you forgot, coach of Grant Williams' AAU team back in
Yeah.
Charlotte. So when he got picked, he was like, throw that picture up.
Yeah, please.
Show this.
Yeah.
And so that was cool to see that. Do you want to go through the draft and just kind of like as it was playing out? Because the first 5 guys were pretty much set in stone. They didn't work out at the combine.
Maybe this was part of why it was boring, is because
We knew who they were.
We knew who they were. And
Yeah.
I guess that's probably how we got to this point. Is Woj? I like that Woj has become Kleenex to where it's just the Woj is like a catch-all term for anybody spoiling anything on Twitter is Woj, but Woj spoils
That's
the whole
right,
draft. Yeah, Moses, get on camera. Show everybody your
Speak.
beautiful face. Speak. Yeah, we're saving that for later. Woj, has it's known going into every draft that Woj is going to spoil these picks and all that stuff. So I feel like America doesn't care about the draft as much as an event. And then coincidentally, ESPN decided if America doesn't care, why should we care? Let's just throw out 3 guys in suits, have them talk about it, throw it to Woj, who will then. That was the most entertaining part. Is become Woj figuring out ways to say, instead of saying they're going to pick him, of saying they're focusing on, they're keen on, all that kind of stuff.
Well, last year he did all the different verbs.
Yeah,
and
this
everyone
one-
was very excited. This year he kind of
Just
stayed with
focused, yeah.
because he got annoyed by like he was too deep in the vortex. He was like, I'm tired of people making fun of the words I'm using. I'm gonna pick one. I'm focused.
And then I
They
think
are
it was
focused.
was it Nassir Little to the Blazers? I think when he just finally gave up the charade altogether, just like, yeah, the Blazers are going to take Nassir Little. This is happening.
Yes,
He's like, it's-
the Blazers have looked around
it's
the
like,
green
yeah.
room and said, "How is Nazir Little still out there? We are going to take
We're
him."
going to
Yes.
select, and
We
they're
have,
like,
we have targeted.
and then
that
they
man.
throw it back to Reese, and Reese is like, interesting. I wonder who the Blazers are actually going to. And Woj was like, no, Reese, you misunderstood. I didn't say focus this time. I said they're going to take the motherfucker. This is what's happening.
Yeah, they just cut the.
Get me
mic.
the hell out of here. I need a beer. Yeah, let's go through the picks though.
Okay.
Enough about the broadcast. It was kind of boring, but whatever. We learned a lot about the guys. It made them personal
Do you
attachments.
know about the
their family.
jewelry? Is it like is it given to them, or are they just like
Do they buy it?
yeah?
I don't know. It's a great question. They buy it.
It's very shiny. I mean, I
The agents
assume it's
probably
real.
buy it.
Agents, huh?
The agents buy it for them, and then I
Nice.
don't know. It's the same with the suits. It's the
Yeah.
whole thing.
Well, the
It's
suits
like
are like those are like J.C. Penney's. Like
Yeah, I will say like this is the time where I'm like, shout out J.C. Penney. You know what I mean? Like they're getting Kobe White was looking fresh in a nice J.C. Penney suit. They're putting their name out there. They're making it work. And sometimes you see brands like that, and you're like, good for the NBA.
Zion
draft.
was all white, which was
business casual.
for some reason they credited LeBron with inventing the all white and forgot that Slick Rick Pitino is the true inventor of the all white look, but whatever.
and
you know.
also Slick Rick.
Yeah,
like,
and
both.
also-
The
yeah.
rapper. Yeah.
Yeah, and also Slick Rick. Yeah, so let's go through the picks. Tate, when was the first moment that you were like, this draft has started? When did the draft start? It was a 3-player draft, so some would argue that after the 3rd pick, the draft was actually over. But when did for the draft? But is that when the draft actually started for you?
Wow, that's a loaded
Yeah, that's-
question.
that's,
I'm trying to work through what
yeah.
that means. RJ Barrett basically is New York now. I mean, if you go and see the Statue of Liberty, it will be RJ Barrett standing up there with his Knick jersey.
Shooting a
because he- yes,
layup,
he is
shooting in some way.
Yes. I am the chosen son. I was right. I should have gone to Duke. And I'm
Sticking his
basically
hand
the
up, saying I'm
number one
open.
pick. Yes.
That's what it is. It's
I
like,
let Zion be better than me so I could go to New York. Is basically his pitch now.
oh, he's like,
Sacrifice.
yeah,
It's a real sacrifice.
Oh
It was
damn!
smart.
I was the 3rd pick, man.
Oh.
I'm so sad.
I'm
about
upset.
that.
Oh, I'm so upset. Spike Lee, what'd you say? that's where RJ is. So once RJ got picked and he was celebrating, I liked his suit. I liked the way he handled himself. I liked the Maple Mamba, So once we got past that, we go to the Lakers pick, which is the Pelicans pick, which is the Hawks pick.
Yes.
So that's
another thing about the
draft
broadcast
started, because I'm like, I don't know
Yes.
who is picking right now,
Yes.
but I want to see who they do pick, and they go DeAndre Hunter. So Hawks get Hunter. Good pick.
Nice.
Makes sense. Trey Young, DeAndre Hunter. That's a nice. So that's when the draft started for me. One, I didn't know who was picking, where they were going. Two, I'm like, okay, DeAndre Hunter. That makes sense. I think on the Lakers or the Pelicans or the Hawks. And three, the draft is beginning.
Yes, DeAndre Hunter got drafted and put a Lakers hat on, and I thought, wow, he gets to play with Anthony Davis and LeBron. That's awesome. I'm excited about that team. And then they're like, no, this is actually the Pelicans pick, and I was like, wow. DeAndre Hunter and Zion. That's exciting.
That's a really good team.
And they're like, no, this is actually the Hawks. They did a. I'm joking about that one. I actually knew that trade, but like throughout the draft, I was very confused with all these things.
Yes.
With the trades and why does the NBA do this? I don't understand. Why do they make them put on the wrong hats? It's confusing for dumbasses like me. I don't get it.
I was saying to you, it's basically for the TBT pictures to be like, oh, I remember when Kobe went to the Hornets. Oh, I remember.
Is it is there some part of so the real reason is that they have to file the paperwork and actually put the trades through before it's official?
I wish they could put it on the broadcast though, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Show that intern
graphics.
printing
There's got to be
out
a better
that piece
way.
of paper,
Yeah.
stressed out, being like, I got to get this sent to Phoenix
Yeah.
ASAP. Like, this is going to be a
Who
problem.
was it?
for me.
Who was it? And then it was the Browns, right? That tried to make a trade one time and faxed it in too late, or something like that. Is that the story?
And like, honestly, we don't even know like what specific story you mean, but yes, that
Yes, it was the
that
Browns.
story has happened.
Which
for
time?
Sure. Yeah.
Which time are we talking
I don't know
about?
if it was in the
Definitely the
movie
Browns.
Draft Day or in real life, but something happened like that.
So the first big shock to me was I think I was cool with everything up until Hachimura goes 9. That was when it had my attention. Not that I don't dislike Rui Hachimura. I think he's a very fine basketball player. I just I was on the Brandon Clark bandwagon all through Gonzaga's season. You know this. We talked about this. We talked about this in this room in front of these microphones many times. I was just surprised that Rui Hachimura went that high. But then you started looking at who else was available, and I guess it's really not that surprising. Like this draft wasn't really jumping out at you, but I don't know. Rui just feels like a little undersized. He can't really shoot. Brandon Clark, sort
who
of in the
reminds
same.
me of Kawhi Leonard, but like in the first year with the Spurs. That's
I will say this about Rui: he plays defense at both ends of the floor, so that's good.
That was a weird pick. I had heard word that the Hornets had pretty much decided that Rui was their guy at 12, and they're all kind of jostling around for position there in like the bottom of the East, and by the bottom I mean like 7, 8 seed trying to fight for the playoff spot. Wizards in that spot. So them taking Rui, I think, was kind of a like, we don't really know who we're going to take, and we like the international idea. Why not go for
business
Japan?
decision?
Yeah, it was a business
let's
decision.
own Japan.
So,
let's have every Japanese basketball fan on earth is going to watch our games and give us money.
and Rui had the pressure too. Like Maria Taylor was like, say something to Japan right now. Just
Yeah.
say it. Just say it. Zoom in on his face. Say something about Japan.
Yeah.
This is the one time you can speak to the entire nation. Say it.
I don't
right now.
believe that you're actually Japanese. Prove it.
And then he says
Speak
something,
Japanese.
and then she's like, "What did you say?" Now say it for the U.S. fans.
Now,
So that's gonna be a long
say it in
career,
Spanish.
like because they had the whole like Japanese there was a huge like Japanese contingent that came to see Rui get picked. So he's gonna be doing multilingual press conferences for the rest of his career. So more power to him. He deserves to be a lottery pick. He's got a lot of headaches on the way.
every question, we're gonna be 10 years into his career, and he like hits a big shot to win a playoff game, and he's in a press conference, and every question still starts with Rui, you're Japanese, so it's like goddamn
Rui,
dude.
what do you think about Shibuya? And I'm like, what? You think Rui was the moment? I thought the moment that everything changed. First off, Garland, I was shocked by, right? Because Sexton's already there, but Beeline's like,
Garland was a weird fit for the Cavs,
but here we are.
he is Kyrie Irving 2.0.
Yes, and Beeline is like, I know how to run offense. I know how to give two guys the ball and let them work. I want Garland, so they take Garland. So that was interesting. And then trade up. Timberwolves trade up to get the 6th spot. I texted a friend of ours in Minnesota, and I said, if you take Kobe White and bring him to Minnesota, first off, Tyus Jones will like basically destroy him from the inside. You know what I mean? Because Tyus should be the point guard there. So please don't do that. They didn't do that. They take Culver. I think Culver's a good fit, especially with like the Wiggins situation. Maybe like helps him out having a 2 guy that can play defense and maybe help with some scoring, which is interesting. So that was the moment there when Culver gets picked, and then Kobe goes to the Bulls, where I was like, all right, now we're rolling. Now things are getting going. And Kobe to the Bulls, I just want to say, what an amazing fit. it's really tough that the first thing you say to the guy when he gets picked by the Bulls going to Carolina is, the last guy that got picked, I don't know if you know this, Kobe. No, sit down.
That was hilarious.
The last guy that did this, he may be, some are saying, the greatest player ever, Michael Jordan.
Heard of him?
What do you think about you
Your
being
thoughts.
that guy? Yeah. What do you think about 6 titles? What do you think about 6 for 6, Kobe? Can you do that for us?
Kobe, can you promise us 6 titles? And can you please promise us speaking Japanese?
Yes. All right, look at the camera. Speak to Chicago. Say what you're going to do for the city. So that was cool to see Kobe get that moment.
Where
other
did
than
you
the
see him
pressure.
going? I know you had him lower. I think you were.
Well,
talking
no,
all
I
trash on
loved
the
him.
pod,
It was
dude.
just we're Kobe White hipsters. We know this. We went to Vegas. We saw him ball out against Texas, and for some reason we pretended like that wasn't on TV, and the only people that saw that were the people in the arena.
It was a big secret.
Yeah, and so like Tate and I came away from that like very high on Kobe White. We loved Kobe White, and so as this draft process unfolded and Kobe kept climbing up the boards, I'll be honest, I was a little hurt by it because I was like, that's my guy. I'm supposed to be the guy that goes on these shows and people ask, who's your sleeper pick? I want to be able to say Kobe White, but when he's being mocked at like 7th, I can't use that as a
you gotta
sleeper
be
pick. So I got
contrarian, yeah.
angry about it. And that was my Kobe White relationship.
But what did you say? Weren't you saying like 13? You thought something?
No.
around there?
I thought Kobe was. You're thinking of Cam Johnson, the other Carolina guy. That was the
You're
shocking
thinking
one.
I'm thinking of that.
I'm
but
thinking
I think
you're
I'm
thinking
thinking
of
of.
that.
All right. Moving on.
Kobe, Tate,
Great
what do you
pick.
think? Tate, what are you thinking?
Great pick. Well, I just kind of think it was poetic because, 7th Wood sacrificed this year for Kobe White, and then Kobe White becomes the 7th pick.
Ooh,
it's a nice little.
I like that. Let's talk
pat
about
on
the
the
other.
hat.
Let's talk about the other Carolina guy though, Cam Johnson. Not just because he's Carolina, and I'm trying to
Pander.
win your favor here, but it really was the most shocking moment of the draft. That Cam Johnson went 11th. Not because Cam Johnson is bad. We both are well aware. It's this simple. He's the best shooter in the draft, and he's 6'9". Like what else? What else do you really need? Like it makes total sense that I could buy into him being one of the 11 best players in this draft. What was confusing to me is that why take him at 11? Why not trade down? Like, would he not have been available at 20? Would he not have been available at 25? Maybe not. I don't know. I'm asking you.
I don't think he would have been available anywhere past 16 because I
Really?
think the Magic would have taken him at 16.
Oh, just because he's tall?
Yeah, they're just like
Long
wingspan.
arms,
They're
yeah.
like, you see this man, he's 6'9" and can shoot. We will take him. So in that sense, I get it. They did trade back from 6. I think the most balling thing that the Suns could have done is basically not trade back from 6 and say, we love Cam Johnson. We're going to take Cam Johnson at 6. But regardless, they take him at 11.
Take Cam Johnson at 6.
Yeah, just like whatever. I take who I want. I don't care about value of the pick. I'm just gonna. I like this guy. I'm gonna take him. The Cam Johnson thing is interesting. One, they trade T.J. Warren, a guy that we both like a lot from college at NC State. Now he's gonna go to your Pacers.
Yes,
which is
my
interesting.
my Indiana Pacers.
Yes. So they're freeing some cap space, and the idea is that they're gonna sign D'Angelo Russell. Have Devin Booker and D'Lo in the backcourt, their best buds. Have them there, and then you got a 6'9" guy in Cam Johnson, who's basically a Klay Thompson sniper, just a shooter. He's gonna basically open up the floor for you. So I like the pick and the fit, but at 11,
11's a little strong.
that was in the words of Kobe White. Wow, that's
Yeah.
love. Like that's really love. Like that you're just gonna.
That's one word for it.
Yeah,
It's
yes,
love.
yes, it's love for some of us. So the fit works. It makes sense in that sense. Cameron Johnson shot 46% from 3 last year, and I want to repeat that: 46%.
Yeah, so
That's
I
insane.
saw a lot of people, like the Ringer tweeted out that we were doing this, and said send in questions or whatever. And,
Yes, we do have
a lot of the
questions that Kyle
questions.
is gonna bring
yeah,
up for
Kyle's
us.
Kyle's gonna don't ask the shitty questions though. Skip through
Never
those.
do, man.
I saw a lot of the preliminary stuff was like, what the fuck are the Suns doing? Please explain this. And I don't think you're gonna find you and I being that upset at what the Suns are doing because the Suns have turned in.
Yeah.
The Suns are the new Kings, but also the Kings are the Kings. So it's really confusing. The Suns and the Kings, we should go to the game. When the Suns play the Kings, we should go to the game and figure out who the best college basketball team in the NBA is. Because the Suns drafted Ty Jerome as well, is the
Yes.
point I'm getting to. But
Yes.
the Kings drafted Kyle Guy. It's all happening.
It's a split vote. Yeah,
Yeah,
we don't
it's
know
a split vote.
we don't know where to go with this, but all we know is that we
I
like
do-
a lot of guys on their teams.
I love
Bagley,
I love Ty
Ayton,
Jerome. I'm glad
Giles, Bridges, like so many guys.
I'm
Yeah.
glad Ty Jerome went first round. But I really don't think the Suns. I think the Suns is like the worst spot for him. I think he's a guy that has to be surrounded by really, really good players and not like 22-year-olds.
This is my Lee Corso, not so fast.
Okay.
Great point guards go to Phoenix, and I don't know why. I don't know how it happens, but for whatever reason, a guy like Goran Dragic would go to Phoenix, and you're just like, I don't understand anything about who this man will be, but he's going to be a good point guard. And over time, like Kidd was there. Like all these weird, great point guards have just come out of Phoenix. So when I heard Ty Jerome to Phoenix in my head, I'm just like, another great point guard in the lineage.
Okay.
Let's go, Ty. Let's get him there.
I think things have changed in Phoenix since like the days of Nash and.
But at one time they had literally like Brandon Knight. They had like Ulyss. Like they had like 4 or 5.
Kevin Johnson. Don't forget about Kevin Johnson.
Oh, like yeah. Oh man.
Mayor of Sacramento
yes.
ties it all together.
Oh, and
Boom.
also Cameron Johnson, Kevin Johnson.
There we go.
Yeah, something's working there. Yeah, so I like point guard U. I like them bringing in Ty Jerome behind D'Lo, and I think it all works. I'm very excited about this.
I know that's what I was. People were saying like, what the hell?
DeAndre Ayton was the #1 pick last year and is on that team. In case he will play basketball next year, right? That is true.
Yeah. But they're going. You and I are going to love them.
Well, a lot of people just don't talk about him.
Oh, okay.
All right. I just want to point that out.
Yeah. People forget.
He's the #1 pick.
Yeah.
Marvin Bagley was the #2 pick. Yes, Luka Doncic is in the league. Yes.
So the Suns, I'm going to be very excited about the Suns.
Same.
They're going to win like 25 games, but they're going to be a fun team for us to watch because we don't pay attention to the scores when we're watching NBA. That's the whole point of regular season NBA basketball is don't keep score. It's just an exhibition, right?
Yeah.
And it'll be fun watching all these young guys that killed in college. What?
As a college basketball fan, this is what the Cam Johnson rhetoric comes from all this stuff. So it's like Cam Johnson gets drafted 11th. He's 24. He's older than Devin Booker. People, if you don't know this, he's 24. Devin's 23. When he gets picked, I see all these like Rodney Purvis. You know, people are like, this changes a lot for transfer guys in college basketball. You know, I mean, like there's hope that you can play for Kevin Stallings, deal with that BS, transfer, and then be a lottery pick. Like Cam Johnson is given a story of a redemption arc for guys to transfer. So the transfer portal is hot today.
Great point.
So go check it out.
Great point that you just made there that Kevin Stallings coached Cameron Johnson and turned him into the player he is today. That's a great point. The Kevin Stallings had a
stall ball never died.
What other notes do we have to get to before we introduce Kyle into this? We start entertaining Kyle's thoughts.
We got to talk about Cal's guys, right? We were going back and forth. Who's going to be the first guy off the board? Of course, the Charlotte Hornets decide P.J. Washington should be the first guy. No, not at all.
You don't love that.
If you're going to draft a Kentucky guy, you're going to draft Tyler Hero because it's Rex Chapman 2.0.
I agree with this.
He's also has no conscience. I mean, like
none
the guy,
whatsoever.
I don't.
Early in his career, I thought it was to his detriment. As I watched him more, I was like, I actually love this. That this guy could airball 7 shots in a row, and the 8th one, he's like, this is wet, and he's shooting it a one-legged step back. Have you ever? And Patrick Ewing's like, have you ever shot that shot? And Tyler Hero's like, yes.
I didn't hear that. I'm too busy counting the money. And everyone's like, what did he say? Oh, my God, Tyler. So that was interesting. PJ goes before Tyler. Back-to-back, though. Heat draft Hero. I think that's an interesting move.
How about Swaggy Poole, first-rounder? Big for us. Big for the podcast. Swaggy Poole going to the Warriors.
He's a winner.
Not only is he going, not only was he first-rounder, Klay Thompson's not playing next year. He's Klay Thompson. That's who they drafted. They drafted Klay Thompson. Swaggy's starting. He's going to be Klay. He's going. What if he tries to wear just number 11? He steps in and he's like, "I'm wearing 11. I am the new Klay Thompson." It's happening.
I do feel like it's one of those weird things where Nick Young. I think he was a good fit with the Warriors the one year he was there, but then there were rumors that his off the court antics of throwing parties and inviting the guys to the parties
went to one of those.
Was a problem. Yeah, Kyle's been there. I mean, like that was not a good thing for the team because they're like, Klay, like, what's going on? He's like, I was up till 6 a.m. at Swaggy's house. So I like that, we bring in Swaggy Poole.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to be at that level yet. So we got like 3 or 4 like good years, first contract years where he's going to work hard, build himself up. Like the Wizards days for Nick Young before he was Swaggy.
Yeah, he can't even buy booze yet.
So. Yeah, exactly.
But you say that. I would have agreed with you if he was second-round pick and didn't have a guaranteed contract. But now he's first-round pick. All the shit's guaranteed, right? So what incentive does he have to work hard?
I can't.
Why not just party right now? The contract's still going to be there next year.
I can't believe they took Swaggy Poole over Keldon Johnson. In the world of like we're trying to get a shooter, like a ball handler, a guy that can be like a number 2, I feel like Keldon Johnson. I mean, and this is no disrespect to Swaggy Poole.
It sounds like disrespect to Swaggy Poole.
This is some disrespect to Swaggy Poole. But Keldon Johnson, I feel like that was a great fit for the Warriors, and that's in my head who I thought. So when Swaggy Poole's name, because this is a guy that he wasn't even on some draft boards. Like he was like 35, 46. The range was crazy. Yeah. So then when it comes up and it's like, and you guessed it, Jordan Poole, Michigan Wolverines. Like that was a shocking moment for me. But happy for Jordan Poole.
Adam Silver's like, are you sure? He's reading the card. He's like, are we sure? You realize this is the 28th pick of the first round, not the second round.
You guys can
wait. Speaking of Michigan, Brazdakis was drafted as well.
Saw that.
Yeah, we were on the fence about whether people seem to be on the fence about whether he'd get drafted. I'm glad it worked out for him. I don't like it when guys are, in January and December, whatever it is, there's a ton of hype around them. It's like honest to God, after the Carolina game, I thought Brazdeikis was going to be like a top 20 pick. So the fact that people were saying he might go undrafted was very, very sad to me, and I'm glad it worked out for him.
We talked about it. It was a little bit of like a medical thing with him, whatever.
Yeah.
But I like the idea that Brazdeikis got traded for Kyle Guy. So Brazdeikis is going to New York, and Kyle Guy is going to the Kings. And it feels like Iggy should be in New York. He's a star.
Speaking of Kyle Guy, let's transition to Kyle's guy. Kyle, what was your moment? What are your thoughts on the draft? What was your who's your guy?
My guy is definitely Ja Morant's father.
Okay.
I think
Grits
barring all basketball knowledge, I think he's 100% cooler than Drake's dad now, who was the coolest dad. And that's my thoughts on that.
You should start a podcast called Cool Dads, where you produce it and it's all the cool.
And
dads.
every episode, I'm like, guys, I'm still not a dad. Good for me. I'm not a cool dad.
I was trying to tee you up. You're supposed to say, I already do. It's called the Bill Simmons Podcast.
Nice.
I will say.
By the way, listen to Bill Simmons Podcast Monday, Wednesday, Friday every week.
Oh, there you go. North Memphis, a.k.a. Yo Gotti territory, and Chris Vernon territory at some level. They are going to go crazy for Ja Morant's father. Like, you talk about Drake's dad.
I can't wait for Chris Vernon at Summer League this year. Oh, my God.
Hey, Ja! What's up, baby? Let's go, baby. Yeah. Like, Chris, calm down. Are you playing in the game?
What are the chances he calls Ja Morant's dad?
Hey, what are the chances, Dad? I love you, Dad.
Yo, what up, D?
What's up, Dad?
What up?
Can't wait for that. Man.
So Bill did a pod last night. I didn't have a chance to listen to it. What was his takeaway with the Celtics?
He was not happy at all. He was completely.
I figured
he's like, we do this every year.
So they got Romeo Langford, they got Grant Williams, they got Carson Edwards, right? Those are the big three.
Yes.
Did they get someone else?
So he was excited about Carson Edwards.
Yeah.
The other two, not so much.
Because he watched the Virginia game in the tournament.
Do you think Romeo Langford?
Romeo Langford was not a. Romeo Langford should have gone back to school. One, two. If I was him, I would not be happy with that pick either. And I say this as a guy who I'm one of Romeo Langford's biggest fans. I want him to do well, but I don't know. The man can't shoot a basketball right now, and it's a problem. But I don't know. What would they have, the 14th pick?
Yeah, it was the most shocking lottery pick.
He's also going to. You have Brad Stevens there already. You have Gordon Hayward there already. Get a Hoosier and another Hoosier in there. Romeo Langford. Get Carson Edwards. He played at Purdue, right? So they're getting a little Indiana love.
A lot of
Maybe
Indiana.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's probably what it is.
I did have that thought for a second before I shoved other stuff into my brain.
Brad Stevens.
Titus is going to be.
It's true. Brad Stevens is from Indiana. I don't think
Brad
people
Stevens.
talk about that enough.
I think, in a world where people make fun of the Hornets for drafting Carolina guys, even though Jordan, since becoming majority owner, has never drafted a Carolina guy, I think we need to start pointing the finger at Brad Stevens and his Indiana bias, because to look at that 14th pick and to look at Danny Ainge in the face and go, you know what? I saw this guy Romeo Langford. I like his game.
If Indiana can't bring Brad Stevens to Bloomington, we're gonna bring Bloomington to Brad Stevens.
Yes.
That's the thought.
Nice.
That's what we're doing. So the Hoosiers are back. Hang a banner, baby.
So blame Brad if things go awry. I do like Carson Edwards, though. I think that's a fun fit for the Celtics.
Yeah. Carson Edwards. It'll be interesting. Carson. I'm excited for the summer league games with Carson and Romeo playing with each other, because Carson Edwards is probably not better than Romeo Langford as an NBA prospect, but Carson Edwards doesn't believe that for 1 second, that Romeo Langford is better than him. He's going to go to Summer League, and he's going to be like, I don't give a shit where you're drafted. I don't give a shit about any of that. This is my team. What's going on here? Is KOC here?
KOC is here. He's definitely opening the door right now.
KOC, come on in, dude.
Yo, what's up, dude?
We have Kevin, the one and only Kevin O'Connor here.
Do we have a chair?
So what, you getting booted?
You know I'm getting booted. You know this is how this works, guys.
We'll come back, thoh.
Yeah.
You gotta
Talent
come back.
versus not
You gotta
talent.
come back and read the questions. Let's do a rapid fire with KOC.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's learn some things.
Kevin, you came at a perfect time. Big hug.
Wow. This is like, dude, that's not safe for work. That's too much.
Moses, how you doing back there?
What up, y'all?
What's up, buddy?
Moses, you wanna get on camera?
What's up?
So, how are you doing? Did you get any sleep last night?
Yeah.
Did you watch the whole draft?
No, we recorded a podcast during most of the second round, and then I went home and wrote, and then I went to bed. Got about 6 hours of sleep, and then I got a text from Titus in the morning. I'm like, yo,
you're like,
I'm there.
The opportunity to be in front of the bright lights. You can't pass that down. We were just talking about the NBA draft.
That happened.
So you didn't watch the second round. You watched the first round. We were kind of breaking down when the draft started, which is to say, like, the biggest shocking moments for us. I threw out the Rui Hachimura at 9. I felt like that was a little bit surprising. And then we obviously talked about Cam Johnson at 11. What for you was like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming? As someone who's very plugged in, were there even any shocking moments?
It was Rui. It was Rui for sure because like. The thing with this draft, it's like it flattened out really after one. Like there are people who love Morant. There are people who don't love Morant.
They should have just cut the broadcast.
You're saying this is a one-player draft. Everyone's like, I wish I could have got Zion.
I'm excited for the 0-player draft. I think that's coming up soon.
Yeah, we'll get one again.
There
someday.
are no players in this draft.
We need another 2013 year
year.
where the best players are the sleepers like Giannis. But like I think with this year's draft, it's like there's Rui was a love him or hate him player. Like people who like don't think he can read the floor at all, which he can't right now.
Yeah,
but he's 21 years old.
Because the floor is in English. He speaks Japanese. That's why he can't read
it. So with Rui though, it's like that's where the draft was like. that was the point in the draft where it's like, okay, confirmation that like this is a
Rui is Japanese. Confirmation.
I love him or hate him draft.
Yeah,
because like there are teams that like probably wouldn't have taken Rui in the 20s.
I love
right?
KOC forgot what show he's coming on, by the way.
He's like, oh my God.
I did not forget.
Yeah, it's like, what is happening?
I knew what I was walking into when I opened that door.
So we've been talking about. We said this at the top.
It is hot in here, though.
It is a little hot in here.
Yeah,
we said this at the
way to
top
go,
of this this broadcast. We were talking about how Tate and I's mentality.
Sweating?
I am sweating a little bit.
We're in a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Tate and I's mentality.
He's worried about the Japanese fans turning on him like slowly.
Tate and I's mentality with the draft is like we don't really care about how it pertains to the NBA. Like these are our guys that we watch in college, and then we're like kind of pushing them out of the nest and watching them fly away and go to the NBA. And like what happens to them next, I don't ultimately care that much. But you do. You're an NBA guy. You care. So we can't really. We're not smart enough to break down like how Darius Garland fits into the Cavs roster and their cap space and words like that I don't know what the fuck any of those mean. So what to you was like a other than like the top 3 that were obvious, like what was a lottery pick or whatever where you're like I love that fit for that guy at that team.
I want to ask quickly though, like you mentioned like cap space and words like that, like what's your analysis of like the Lakers Anthony Davis trade with all the cap stuff that's happening?
I have no idea what any of the cap stuff means.
I think we know as much as Rob Pelinka, which is like I'm confused. Like I thought that I could just make this trade and get Anthony Davis, and now you guys are all yelling at me.
Well, we were talking about that too with the draft where they announced all these trades and you got the guys putting the hats on and like guys like
it's ridiculous.
You know exactly. You don't know what's going on.
No, it's ridiculous.
Then what chance do I have?
It's ridiculous.
What chance do I have to know what the hell's happening?
It's disorienting when it's like a Phoenix Suns logo on the screen, but the Phoenix Suns aren't picking. The pick's been traded 2-3 times already. It's like the NBA needs to just update what they're doing here.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. It's
also,
confusing.
everything moves so fast that I feel like when Adam Silver comes out and says like the Lakers have the 4th pick, I knew the Lakers traded the 4th pick, but part of me was like, did they trade back? Like somehow get it back? So like, what's going on here? This is crazy. And then I realized, oh, this is how they
no. Then you realize Rob Pelinka did not make the trade actually, and the Lakers got DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah, like how does it? So who makes the pick at 4?
So
is it technically the Lakers? Because why don't they? That's the other thing. When I was little, why not just draft like a really shitty player?
Yeah, it's a full faith clause.
Gotcha.
Obviously, then the trade would be null and void. But I also like the gamesman. Like that would be great. You're just like, with the 4th pick, we're gonna take. Horton Tucker.
Try to sneak it in there.
We'll see what happens.
He'd have to be a keeper for the Lakers. They took him anyway in the second round. What was your question?
I don't remember. Oh, what the player other than like Zion and Ja and RJ, which are the 3 players that were in this draft. And then the rest, I guess there weren't extra players. What like a lottery pick at whatever do you feel like was a great fit for the team that they went to, all that kind of stuff?
Cam Reddish with the Atlanta Hawks.
Okay.
I think with Cam, like obviously last season you guys watched him at Duke and all the struggles he had being the 3rd wheel behind Zion and RJ. Like that's going to be an adjustment for him still in the NBA playing behind Trae Young. However, like his role is going to be simplified now in that offense where for him it's going to be like your role is stand at the wing, hit spot up threes, attack closeouts, make the smart pass off the dribble, move the ball, and defend. Yeah. That's what his role is going to be to start his career. So for him it's like he still has that upside, to long-term become maybe a go-to scoring type. So it's like he can just sort of ease into that role, sort of like guys who were slow to develop as lottery picks like Paul George or Gordon Hayward, where they had years to ease into that. So I think Atlanta provides that stability in the short term, but also less pressure over the long term to maybe at some point develop into the star that people expected.
I always am interested when two guys get drafted, I think, that play the same position. So it's like Hunter and Reddish. Not only are they sort of small forwards, I guess is what they're going to be in the NBA. I guess we're in positionless basketball, so no one really knows. But they draft those two guys together, and now they're kind of in competition with each other. And you got more of a like traditional, like high floor guy, and then you have a high ceiling guy, and they're going to be working together trying to figure it out. And it kind of reminds me of like a Draymond, Harrison Barnes type situation where it's like sometimes that creates like a little bit of envy, and then one guy kind of becomes the guy, and the other guy kind of falters. Are you worried about that with Reddish?
Are we worried?
I could see Reddish just kind of being passive to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing though? If he's like taking a little bit of a step back?
If Reddish is?
Yeah, I mean, like if he's just playing within his role, just being that spot up guy.
I think he has to know what his role is. I think at Duke he had no idea what he was supposed to be doing out there. So I think like if you tell Cam Reddish, here's what we want from you, just do that. We trust you that you can do these one or two things. Just go do that every single time you're out there. I think he'll be good at it. I think at Duke it was like Kay was like, go score for us. And also, Zion, you score for us as well. And also, RJ, you score. And Cam's like, I thought I was the scorer. Well, you are, Cam, but so are these other two. And they're going to have the ball all the time. But you figure out a way to score without the ball. He's like, what?
Yeah. You score
How
in
does
your
that
mind.
work?
Yeah. You put the best.
And I don't think it's going to be that in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Trae Young is going to be the orchestrator of that offense. He's going to be the guy who has the ball in his hands a ton. And like all those pieces sort of fit together. Same with DeAndre Hunter, where with him it's like the role has been simplified. He's not going to have to be a guy that's undrafted into a situation where there's unfair expectations for him to be somebody who he's not. He's not going to be the guy he was in the national title game every single night. Like maybe sometimes that pops from him, but he's going to be that guy who's a complimentary player, and Trae Young's going to be the guy there. They're building around him and supporting him.
What about the Kings? We were just talking about before you came here how much we love the Kings and the Suns because it's basically those two teams are the two best college basketball teams in the NBA. The Kings are more so than the Suns, I think, though, Tate. I mean, I'm more of a Kings guy, but
I'm a Suns guy.
Vlade Divac obviously loves college basketball. Every single guy he drafts is from a blue blood, has some sort of – there's a first-team All-American, or in the case of Kyle Guy, most outstanding player. There's always like something.
He's like he starts watching in March.
Yeah, like the litmus test would have been if Vlade had like a top 10 pick and he took like Jackson Hayes, for example. Then you would be like, oh, that's a curveball. But he's always taking guys that have like the college pedigree. So we love the Kings for that reason. The Suns are starting to become that. Drafting Cam Johnson, so that grabs Tate's attention. They get Ty Jerome, who we have loved. College basketball fans absolutely love that guy.
How can you not love Ty Jerome?
But the problem is that NBA fans keep telling me that both those teams are garbage and to not be excited about that.
I mean, like, I think with Phoenix, it's easy to be excited when you have a guy like Devin Booker. Like, him alone is a reason to be excited about the Suns. He averaged like...
What's more annoying, talking about Devin Booker's age or Luka Doncic's age? Like, what are we getting sick of more? Like, hearing Devin Booker's only 22. Is he 23 now? Who knows?
23.
Who even cares?
I'm not sick of either.
Oh. Are we gonna do that when Devin Booker's 31? You're like, remember, folks, he's only 31.
Well, we're gonna be doing that when Jason Tatum's only 30.
Yeah, Jason Tatum's the other one too. Yeah.
I think with Phoenix and Sacramento, both those teams, like they're loaded with a bunch of blue blood college players, which is great.
Yeah, you just say it. They suck. That's what
they suck now, but they can become good long term. I like them. One other team I'm curious about. I heard you guys talking about Jordan Poole from Michigan going to the Warriors. Yes. I feel like for him, you call him Swaggy Poole.
Swaggy Poole.
Like this is a interesting fit for him, and it might be the perfect fit because like with the Warriors, it's like no more of that ball hog stuff. Time to move the ball and lean into the playmaking that he kind of just flashed in Michigan. It wasn't something he did all the time, but like maybe now he's forced to become a more guy who's willing to pass the ball.
There is a 1,000% chance, and I can guarantee this, that Stephen Curry will be doing his little routine before the game where he's like doing the putting and the kickball, and Swaggy Poole is doing the entire routine with him, and then does the tunnel shot, and Steph switches it, and then he bricks it like 5 times, like, I'm not done yet, baby. One more. And you're like, Swaggy, you got to get to the locker room. So I think that will definitely be something that we see from him. I think that will be nice. I was saying earlier, it was like I would like Keldon Johnson more so than Jordan Poole in that situation because of what you're saying, where it's like the Warriors like to move the ball. I don't know if you've heard about this, but I think he's going to have to change the way he plays quite a bit.
What so let's get negative then for a second. Who do we hate? Who was like what the hell are they doing with this pick?
It's the Cam Johnson pick. It is.
Wow.
That's the number one pick that comes to mind. Where with him, it's like he's gonna be a solid pro because of his shooting alone. Like that.
Yeah, he's 6'9". He's the best shooter in the draft.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
like
all
that.
you really need
That's
to say,
like
right?
he has a baseline for success.
Yeah.
But like other than
But
that, it's like to me with the 11th pick, a guy who's had issues with both his hips, had a surgery to repair a torn labrum. He's an average defender, probably at best. Doesn't do a lot for you off the dribble. And like off screens, like he's really good, but I'm not sure he's like a super dynamic.
Do you
guy.
get points for any of those things in a basketball game, or do you get points for putting the ball through the basket?
That's all you get points for.
Yeah, that's all
That's
that
it.
matters. What do we got going on, Kyle? You're back. You should have just let that go. I'm just helping him. Oh, you're just helping him. So Cam Johnson, the point I made to Tate was that I think we both like Cam Johnson just because again he's 6'9", he can shoot, but. We felt like 11 was crazy. Is that? I don't know how they made draft works though. Like, was it plausible to trade? Why not just trade down and get him at like 19 or something?
Unless Phoenix had intel that he was going to go like 15 or 16.
That's
that's the only way.
I think that there was a high chance that he would have gone 16.
Is there ever a scenario where like you trade down to 19, then he goes 16, and then you're like shit, and then you figure out a way to trade to get him after he had already been picked? Does that happen? That's too much.
Like,
I don't know.
It's too much, man.
Here's a question.
That sort of happens
let's,
in a way. It's like last year the Suns traded for Mikal Bridges after taking Zaire Smith.
Yeah.
And like I don't know exactly what the deal was there, but like they traded.
I love that you don't know what the deal is with like some of this, because I mean that seriously. Like it's confusing for me, and then I think to myself, well, I'm sure like the guys who do this kind of know what's going on, and then you're like, it's kind of
the NBA.
The GMs don't know what's going on.
Have
Like,
you
again,
ever-
Rob Pelinka is still confused as to what's going on with this trade. He's
He
like,
just knows he got Anthony
he's like,
Davis.
So I cannot sign Kawhi. Is that what you guys are fucking telling me right now? That's what you're saying?
I mean, like he technically possibly could, depending on the timing of the trade.
Exactly. We don't know.
We don't know. No one knows.
No one knows. That's the whole point.
It's ridiculous.
It's
It's
a
like, have you ever looked at CBAfacts.com? It's like it's like a website by this guy called Larry Kuhn who like details like sort of like a SparkNotes version of the NBA salary cap and the collective bargaining agreement. So like on that website, stuff is broken
That
down.
actually might be helpful then.
It maybe not though. I mean, he does it as simply as it can possibly be. Like the cap is it's just so overly complicated.
I
But
think I
it
just
sort
like
of needs to
being.
be.
I like being willfully ignorant. I think it's just more fun. Here's a thing that's gonna blow your mind, but I don't think this is an original take. It's just something I've been entertaining more recently. Do we need a draft? Are we sure we need a draft? Because we're gravitating toward. I mean, we're not even gravitating. We're balls deep into the player empowerment era of basketball. Where the players just decide, I don't want to play here. I'm going to go. I'll sign my rookie contract and then I'm leaving. So what's the point of the draft? Just like it's basically like torturous for these franchises. Like the Pelicans now get to spend the next 4 years like begging Zion Williamson not to leave after his rookie deal's up, and that's what they get. They're like, we're really excited you're here, Zion, but please stay when your contract's up. So why not just not even have a draft and just let anybody sign wherever they want and just make it free agency like it's European soccer.
So you want this? You want no draft?
I don't know. I just I feel like that's I feel like we're 5 years away from Adam Silver taking that seriously, because the players come to him and say, Adam, this is what we want, and then Adam Silver's like, well, I'm the cool commissioner, so I'll give you exactly what you want.
I have a lot of like contrasting thoughts on this, because it's like, first of all, it's like if you really need like a perfect system in order to do this, where it's like you still need to give small market teams an opportunity.
But
to
this is
sign
my
players.
point is like small market teams already don't have an opportunity.
Yeah,
because
New Orleans just got the number one pick though, because of the
but
fact
they're
that
not
they
gonna.
stunk.
That's my point. Is like by the time Zion pans out, and by the time like they build something around him, Zion's gonna be like, you know what? I gave it a lot of thought.
Not for sure.
I want to go to to New York. And then
not for sure.
and
And
Orleans
RJ's
is
like,
fuck.
what did he say?
Yeah.
He wants to go to New York.
Yeah. Meanwhile, like the Pacers every year are like the only they're taking it seriously and like trying to play within the rules of the game, and they win 47 games every year and get bounced in the second round of the playoffs, and that's all they get for it, because you can't win. The system's rigged, Kevin. The system's rigged.
But Indiana at least had an opportunity with a guy like Paul George in the draft.
They did
Maybe
draft Kawhi.
Paul
yeah,
George.
let's
drafted
just be
Kawhi.
honest. Kawhi Leonard just won the title for Toronto, and he could have won it for Indiana. But you know what
did.
they said? We want George Hill.
That's true.
I think when it comes to like abolishing the drafts, like it's the type of thing here where like
Abolish the draft.
Should we become abolitionists where we just like we're completely against the draft? Like I won't watch any draft. Like,
we're at next year's draft with Titus.
Yes. Let them choose. Let them choose.
We'll get you guys credentials. You'll be in the building. But I don't know. Like in all serious though, it's a serious topic because like players should have the freedom to choose, but it's also like what is the alternative here? Like, is it wide open free agency where teams just use their cap space? Like this touches on the CBA.
Listen,
it gets complicated.
I know. Well, it is complicated. I'm not saying it's a good idea. I'm just like trying to entertain it because we got some airs we got to kill here. So if so I think the new system becomes like because the way it's constructed right now is in a perfect world all these teams are trying to win a title. They're all trying to win this. They're not.
Sorry, Mike.
So
Hornets.
why not?
Yeah,
we all.
not.
Yeah, we all know that.
Just
we
cashing
all
checks.
Playoffs.
Right.
12 extra games.
So why not lean into that and realize that like let's be honest, the Pacers are probably not winning a title. The Hornets are probably not winning a title. It's very, very, very hard for them to win a title. So if you create a system where all the best players do go, like people in Indiana love nothing more than being an underdog. Like they absolutely eat that shit up. They love it. So the idea of like let all the good players go somewhere else, we get all the shitty leftovers, and we still make the playoffs. Now that's a story. That's like something we get excited about when we lose in the second round of the playoffs. Right now, instead, it's like, shit, we lost in the second round again, and how are we ever going to get over this hump? That's how like European soccer teams work, right? Like the small clubs that like finally
or it's
make like some noise.
The playoffs.
Yeah, and that's like something. Then we hang a banner in there, and it's like we're like Nebraska trying to make their first win our first tournament game. Like that's what we become. I don't know. I'm spitballing, Kevin.
I don't know. I it's complicated
You're
because then like you need to have a certain amount of money allotted for teams, which could be based off their records. There's some type of formula. I don't know. It gets complicated, man. Personally, it's like I think for players, I think it could help some of the top guys.
Yeah,
like they can choose their destination. But I do wonder if maybe for some of the lower end guys, they end up getting screwed. Like they're not getting paid. They're only getting league minimums instead of like the allotted salaries that the teams have for them. Unless like you have some type of system. Like this gets complicated where like teams like depending on their record have a certain amount of money that they can give out.
Yeah, I don't know. Just get rid of it all. Get rid of all the collective bargaining, everything. Yeah. Just make it all the free market. Let any team in the league that they want. I don't know what the solution is, Dave.
That'd be a good bit for the 2020 drafts.
Was Dewan Hernandez the best pick in the second round?
He got picked in the second round.
Yes, he did.
Was he the last pick? No,
can I see the second round? Because I feel like I've been nonstop.
Justin. So basically for me, it's Justin Wright Foreman, Terrence Mann, or Dewan Hernandez.
Oh, he was next to last pick. He was 59. Right?
So Justin Wright Foreman went 53rd. Wow.
Justin Wright Foreman, we saw the 3-on-3. He basically is Mike Conley Jr. And he's going to be the backup to Mike Conley Jr. in Utah.
Yeah,
which is great.
A couple guys that pop out. Cody Martin.
Yep.
I like Cody Martin a lot. Really good college player.
Did they draft the right Martin?
Did they draft the right Martin?
That's what everyone's asking. Because Caleb was
I think they did.
viewed as the better one, but Cody's a better defender.
Yeah.
Caleb worked out with the Hornets.
They should have tried to draft them both. They should just wrote the Martin twins on the card and see if it works.
There might be a Martin problem. Like,
Terrence Mann as well.
Terrence Mann, Florida State, yes.
3-and-D wing, I think makes sense for them.
Clippers.
Justin Wright Foreman, like I'm a bit surprised that he didn't get
He's good,
a little bit more draft type.
He's good.
I mean, like watch the guy play. He can score from anywhere off the dribble. He can run off screens, shoot the hell out of it from three. And his passing, I thought, was a bit underrated. Like he had to be a scorer for that team, but he can pass.
Yeah,
the skill there.
He's good, man. We really like him. What else we got, Tate? We got to do questions and answers. Is that
we got to do questions.
Kyle,
do you have the questions? Do you want to come do the questions?
Moses, come here, buddy.
Kevin Porter Jr., first-round pick.
I'm gonna hold Moses on my lap.
Good gamble at 30.
Yeah,
good gamble at 30.
I agree with that.
Makes sense for them.
I don't hate it. There was a bunch of like early second-round guys that are interesting, where it's like Claxton, like Edwards, Fernando. I don't know. Wow, Mose, this is great.
Are we switching? Me and Kyle?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what? Yeah. What do you
switching off, Kyle?
How about this?
Yeah.
I'll just stay right here. I don't need
Kyle, use that mic.
Oh. This is great. Yeah, I'd rather get. I want to get some of KOC's answers.
Yeah, I don't need to be on camera. I'm secure in my standing in this company.
If you don't see Kyle, just know that he's looking great over there. He's going to ask us some questions from the people.
Look at that camera. Tell
Feeling good.
Hello.
I've been waiting to ask you this one for a while. Did Bol Bol slip because his ankles are too thin.
Oh, we talked about this. This is really uncomfortable for both of us. So I'm gonna let Moses go back.
Honestly, Mose looks very happy with his situation right there
Moses
for a
is
little
like,
while.
Are you done yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about this on the podcast. How Thad Mata told me one time the key to recruiting is when you're like recruiting eighth graders when trying to figure out if they'll be good players in college, is look at their ankles, and if they have skinny ankles, that's how you know they'll be good. And it blew my mind. And then I have since learned that that's actually like a thing that people look at is skinny ankles. So that's the question. Is Bol Bol's ankles too skinny? I think it's a good thing. I think it means he's going to keep growing.
Honestly, I went home and did I think he's going to be great. I mean, he lost 50 pounds since he left Oregon. That was the big knock.
What was the Bol Bol? I know he was really polarizing, but what were the knocks on him again?
Medical.
Like just being skinny.
Medical. Like the fact is
frail.
Frail player.
But he's skilled as shit, right?
He's skilled, but also, like, can he defend? He's so skinny. Can
anybody
he
defend in the NBA?
Yeah, plenty of guys.
You're on a college basketball show.
I know I am. Yeah, I know.
It was pretty hilarious that they like
right now all these guys in Lexington are like, yeah,
that's what we do.
I'll get paid. Nobody tries on defense.
Yeah, they asked Bol Bol, they're like, so why?
Not playing for the love of the game.
Why did you fall as far? And he's like, well, I lost 40 pounds, and like the medicals weren't great for me, but my foot's pretty healthy now, so I'm ready to go. So it's a very Michael Porter Jr. situation where
not
he
just
red
medical
him.
though.
It was also the shirt he wore last night.
I mean, it might be that, but it could also just be the fact that can he defend anybody in the NBA? He's long and he can block shots, but can he defend big guys? He's not mobile on the perimeter. It's what does he offer you on the defensive end of the
floor? Isn't that
kind
of sad? Like him and Taco Fall to have guys who. In our minds, hit the genetic lottery because they're massive, and you're like, man, you're like, how many times have you said the phrase, Kevin? If I was 7 foot tall, I would be in the NBA. It would be so easy. All that they almost hit the genetic lottery too well. And I mean, Bol Bol's gonna make a ton of money, but I feel bad for Taco Fall because Taco Fall is really, really good for how big he is. He wasn't just some stiff out there that was just no, calm down. Did you watch the Duke game? Taco Fall's got moves, man. He's got a little touch. He's not just some big ogre out there that's he can actually run and move a little bit, but not at an NBA level. So I feel bad for him because he is a good basketball player, but
it's also really tough if you're 7'6" and you're not in the NBA and everyone's talking to you. They're like, so what do you do? And you're like, brain surgeon. They're like, okay, what do you really do?
What team do you play for? And you're like, the New Zealand Breakers. What? Never heard of that.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of LaMelo Ball? Oh yeah, of course. Let me watch.
RJ Hampton.
Yeah. All right, Kyle Moore.
Sure thing. This is from Campbell Baskin on Twitter. What is the most overrated ranked team for next year? Is it Memphis? Is Memphis the new 2018 Duke? Can perform at the highest level, but will choke.
We're supposed to be doing an NBA thing, but
I thought he was talking about the Grizzlies. I was like, yeah they're pretty overrated. Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was talking about the Grizzlies too.
Oh, he's not. Good question, Kyle.
Evan, maybe you should take it.
I'm thinking Brandon Clark, Jaren Jackson right now, Ja Morant.
James Wiseman should be the number one pick, so I think Memphis has the number one pick.
Let's do the way too early. So that's a big thing in college basketball is after the national championship, as soon as the buzzer sounds, people are pumping out their way too early top 25s. Let's do a way too early 2020 draft.
Top 60 picks.
Give me your top 60 picks. Give me your big board right now.
James Wiseman is interesting, at least.
Yes.
You think number one pick, though?
I think
with his all-around two-way game.
I'm just guessing that he'll be the number one pick based on, I'm thinking James Wiseman, Cole Anthony, Anthony Edwards, right? Those are the three guys that I'm
Nico Mannion.
Okay. Okay. Those three guys, I'm like, all right, they'll be in the top 5, I would assume. But then again, Nassir Little last year, I would have said would have been in the top 5, and he went 25.
Are you moving RJ Hampton down your board because he's not playing college basketball?
I honestly already forgot about RJ Hampton.
He's not playing college basketball. It doesn't count. It doesn't count.
Yeah. Even though love the Breakers.
They should,
so
you know
how
the NFL does a supplemental draft where I don't really know how it works, but I just remember that I think Terrell Pryor got drafted. That's the first time I remember that the supplemental draft was a thing. They should do that with the NBA. It's like the actual NBA draft is only college players, and then you figure out the guys playing overseas later. I mean, come on. Well, I can't be watching the draft and have the international guys get announced. I'm like, I don't know who these guys are.
I mean, it's like last time we're talking about Sekou Doumbouya. You're like, oh yeah.
Also, if you did it that way, you wouldn't have the embarrassing things like the Knicks booing Porzingis and stuff like that. Because I'm not alone in this. It's like all the no one has any idea who these guys are, and the only one anyone has ever known is Luka. and that's it.
I know this is how NBA Twitter works. I want to put this out to the world. When RJ Barrett has his first game where he's 8 for 30 and he's missed 16 straight shots, I want to do like a cut together of all the missed shots and then all the reactions of the Knicks fans at the draft. For and Stephen A is like going crazy. He's like, RJ, we got RJ, and you're like, here he is.
Is that going to happen the first week?
No. Like 2 weeks in. 2 weeks.
What else, Kyle?
Best teammate reaction, was it Zion or was it Kobe White?
Kobe.
Definitely
It
Kobe.
was definitely Kobe White.
Yeah.
Zion, it felt.
You can say it. I'm not going to say it.
No, I'll say it so that way you don't get accused of being a Duke hater.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that Zion and RJ don't like each other. They definitely do. I'm just saying if you compare the Rui Hachimura Brandon Clark hug when Rui was drafted, you compare like the Kobe White situation when Cam Johnson got drafted. You start looking at the way these other teammates were interacting. I would say Zion and RJ were more, we'll say, business-like with how they were interacting. Like, they were still friends. They were still happy for each other. They would still say, that's my guy. But I didn't necessarily feel the love. It
was very much like a celebrity made-up couple of the of the past, where it's like, you guys got to go take a photo with Lindsay Lohan. You got to go out there and take a photo right now with this guy because you guys are dating now. And then it's like they take the picture and they're like, we're in love, and then they just walk away like separately, and then they leave. Like, that's pretty much what it felt like. It was like, oh, the camera's on. Love you, dog, man. Respect you. You should have been number one pick. No, you should have been number one pick. All right, peace.
It was
doing it for the gram, and that's it.
I mean, maybe they called each other that night. Maybe they went out to. I don't know, but it was interesting.
I didn't even see that.
It's our job. It's our job to make too much out of nothing. So that's what we're going to do.
The Kobe White one was awesome, though.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Very touching.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
Kind of.
That's love.
Yeah, kind of disrespectful though.
When Kobe got up to go get drafted, he said what up to his boy there. Yeah. But when Zion got picked first, he walked right past RJ, and I'm pretty sure he tapped the guy next to him on the shoulder.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Where was Coach K in all this? Makes you think.
Recruiting.
Really makes you. Do you want
to be the next
Kobe was kind of disrespectful though, wasn't he? Because I mean, being that surprised is like kind of a backhanded thing, where it's like, why didn't he just go? Yeah, of course he was 11th. He was that good. Like, he should have gone 11th. Instead, he was like, what the fuck? Cam went 11th?
You're like Cameron Johnson.
You sure they didn't mean Reddish? You sure they didn't mean
Johnson.
Reddish?
You're like, yes, Kobe, Cameron Johnson.
I'm offering that take. The Kobe White reaction was actually bad and actually disrespectful to his teammate.
Well, they should have shown Nassir Little, but he's like,
yeah. Dude, I do love that Nassir Little. Did you watch till Nassir Little was drafted, or is that
no?
You checked out.
I feel like
Connor did not watch.
I feel like I'm out of a. I mean, I was watching the draft on Twitter while on camera, so it's like I feel like I missed out on all these live reactions that happened last night.
Because you were
so many
your
great
live
moments.
Reaction, yes.
Like there were so many awesome moments that I've seen little clips of, but
Nassir was not trying to hide his how upset he was in any way, shape, or form, which I don't think he should have. I don't think he was obligated to. It was just it made for riveting television because they would cut to him, and it wasn't like he was like, man, we're all right, we got this, whatever. He was just like, fuck.
He was like looking at his agent, should have cost him. He was like,
well, I mean, like that's part of it. It's like when you're setting the expectations.
I
high.
thought they loved me. I thought the Magic loved me. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. It's actually funny to me now.
Oh, it's not a big deal. I didn't start. Is that what you said? It's not a big deal. I didn't start.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing. Cam Johnson played over Nassir Little all year at Carolina, and then goes and takes his lottery spot. So
yeah, is Roy Williams the big winner here? That Roy was like, all of you that were criticizing me saying I should be playing Nassir Little, and all the NBA execs agreed that I shouldn't have. So kiss my ass.
Everyone was like, no, we were talking about Luke May. He's like, dadgummit, if you don't shut up.
With Nassir Little, is there any chance this turns out to be a mistake? Did you see anything from his game this past season where you're like, oh, teams are silly? 24 teams are.
I think he's a great fit for the Blazers. I'm like, why can't he be the third? Why can't he be Harkless? Why can't he be Aminu? I think Aminu can actually mold him into be a player like that, where it's like offensive rebounding, easy putbacks, and spreading the floor for the other two guys. I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Is that better than whatever Cam Johnson's going to be?
It just comes down to shooting, right? Like, isn't that ultimately the difference between the two? Is that, I mean, Nassir Little, if this draft was happening in 2003, Nassir Little would have gone 20 spots ahead of Cam Johnson, but. Like, the game has changed, and now all that matters is shooting. So Nassir Little can't really shoot.
I'm not going to be surprised if Cam Johnson has like a quarter next year, like a third quarter where he goes 8 for 8 from 3, and everyone's like, damn, like Cam Johnson is something else. You know what I mean? Like
old takes exposed is like retweet all the haters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so like I don't think Nassir Little's
night.
gonna have like a standout, but he's gonna have like big dunks like Harrison Barnes had his first year that people get excited
who
about.
Who cares about dunks?
Yeah, well, they're done.
All right, Kyle.
Dunks are done.
Kyle, throw us a few more.
Okay.
And then we'll get the hell out of here.
Thank you. A lot of college players don't even shoot threes until they get to the league. Which player's ceiling becomes the highest if they had a good 3-point shot other than
Bol
Zion?
Bol.
Nice.
Shot 50% on what, 10 shots? Something like that.
I just saw him make one that turnaround, and I was like, number one big.
What about like Jackson Hayes?
I mean, he's an okay touch.
But like, what if he becomes a guy that's like out there picking and popping and shit?
How about Rui, who you talked about?
Rui would be
earlier?
interesting.
He extended his range every year. Maybe he keeps extending it.
Yeah, Rui would be good. I mean, like the real answer is like every player if they become better at 3-point shooting. But
I think Kabengele is a guy that I really like on the Clippers. I could see him popping out with like Harrell and Kabengele, and it's like Harrell can be in the paint, and then Kabengele can pull out and hit threes.
Yeah, it is true though. These guys there are guys that just come out of nowhere. Where I'm turning on an NBA game and they've been out of college for 2 years, and now all of a sudden they're raining threes. I'm like, where the hell did that come from?
Even like a Grant Williams, you know what I mean? Like with the Celtics, if he finds a spot to like get the Draymond threes, where it's like I got to keep him honest and hit this open shot from the top of the key.
How do you feel about Grant Williams?
I love him. I had him ranked, I think 8th or 9th on my board. I think he's a clear steal. His skill set, like such a smart player, multiple positional on defense.
I'm a little worried, like people that love him, like you. Not that you said this. I'm just. Is it a thing of you're trying to find the next Draymond and you think you might be him? Okay, good. Just making sure. Just making sure. Don't fall into that trap.
He's not the next Draymond.
Yeah.
Draymond is more athletic. He's longer. He's
Right.
not Draymond, and Draymond's also a nut, and I mean that like in a positive way. He channels it on defense.
I feel like dumber people try to do that with the draft, though, where they try to find because Draymond's obviously super valuable to the Warriors and gives them something that no one else has, and so they're like, why don't we just do that? Why don't we just find our Draymond?
Why don't we just draft an All-Star in the second round? That'd be smart.
Let's just do that. Throw two. We'll do two more.
Two more, Kyle.
Because this one's gonna suck.
One's for Kevin.
And then we'll do the next.
Is Zion fat? I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
He's thick.
Will Jordan Bone be the steal of the draft?
Wow. Let me just say this. Starting a sentence, Will Jordan Bone, is not that's
not
what we want.
The answer to
Kyle.
that is yes.
Okay.
Will Jordan Bone be the steal of the draft? Sure, why not? I don't know. This is where I have to bow out because like I have no idea what I never understand. I never know like what situations guys are going into. That stuff matters more than I think people realize. It's not a matter of just like if you're a good player, you're going to become a good player no matter where you go. That's not the case. This shit matters so much, and I didn't start realizing that until I got older. And like guys that I grew up playing with in AAU, I watched that were like unbelievable. I watched them like fizzle out of the league. I'm like, how the hell did that happen?
Shout out Daquan Cook.
Yeah, exactly. So fit does matter. I don't know enough about the fit. Where did Jordan Bone go?
Jordan Bone went.
He got traded like 7 times, right?
Yeah, he's
that was the guy that got
Pistons.
traded.
He's basically like they're not going to re-sign Ish Smith, so basically Jordan Bone becomes the new Ish Smith.
Unless they do resign
Unless
him.
they
And
do
then
re-sign
it's like he's the third guy and he's not playing. And that's what you mean to your point about situation. Like I wrote this from an article about the Hawks. It's like the guys that drafted Reddish, Hunter, and then Fernando in the second round, all of them fit into what they're trying to build. But it's like so many players enter the NBA and they're drafted into situations with either the right coach or the wrong coach, the right system or the wrong system, and like the right teammates even sometimes. So it's like a guy can be set down a path that leads to like big time contracts and rewards down the line or just team success. But then there's other times where it's like you suck on like the team because of the circumstances, and then you're playing in Europe for 4 years. And like you're not developing the way you would be in the NBA, and then you never get another chance.
Like a guy, the guy that comes to mind is like Victor Oladipo, who everyone was kind of, I wouldn't say shocked, but when he goes to the Pacers and becomes what he is now, it feels like people were surprised by that because he wasn't really that great on the Magic, and he wasn't really that great on the Thunder. And then I'm looking at him like, I think he just didn't have the right fit. And it's not like Victor Oladipo. I know he works hard at his game in the offseason, but it's not like he just suddenly became a great player. It's like he was always a great player. He was just in the wrong fit and couldn't figure out the chemistry of how he fit into things. That stuff matters so much, and it sucks. That would be horrifying for me if I was like a draft prospect that like basically that's why I say abolish the draft. Abolish the draft. Let me pick my own place. Let me go to the fit I need.
It's like a nature versus nurture type of thing, where it's really nature and nurture. It's like you need to have a certain level of talent and athletic skill in order to make it in the NBA, but you also need the right environment around you in order for that talent to actually be activated and developed over time.
Obviously, like the guys who are great are going to be great no matter what, but Yeah,
It's everybody else.
Yeah, a lot of these fringe guys have to get the right situation.
I think it's Justin Wright for
This is a good one. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super relevant.
All right, this is the last one. So is it good enough to be the last one?
Of course. And if it's not, fuck you. Best summer league duo.
Ty Jerome and Cam Johnson.
Oh, what do you mean?
What's going to be the best summer league duo?
That wasn't a question.
Ty Jerome and Cam
That
Johnson.
wasn't a question. I said last
What
question.
is the best summer league duo? Best summer league? Come on.
It wasn't a question. It was a fill in the blank.
Yeah.
It's like the second grade
Exactly.
test.
What
Like,
is? Exactly.
Yeah.
Stayed in the
Jeopardy,
Jack
dude.
and
You
Jill
ever
went
watch Jeopardy?
where? Where did they go?
It's got to be Zion and fill in the blank, like whoever, right? Zion Williamson and
Jackson.
Xylon Cheatham, like Zion Williamson and whoever from the Pelicans roster.
I
That's who
think
it is.
I have two in mind, two duos. The Romeo Langford. I know that Grant Williams is with the Celtics too, but the Romeo Langford, Carson Edwards, IU Purdue, playing for Brad Stevens, who's not actually going to be coaching the summer league team. I know, but who does coach the Celtics summer league team? Do
I'm
you
not
know?
sure who it'll be.
It's probably someone from Indiana. That's like his whole stat. Like whatever, someone from Butler.
Mark Titus.
Some kid
Coach
that
him.
was mopping the floor at Butler
Coach
in
Mark
2010,
Titus.
and then is like now the summer league coach. That duo has my attention because of the dynamic of the rivalry. They know each other well. All that, and then the Suns guys, Ty Jerome and Cam Johnson.
Yes, that was my answer. Ty Jerome, Cam Johnson.
I'm
those
going
are
with,
the guys.
with Zion and Xylon.
Xylon?
Xylon Cheatham from Arizona
Oh,
State.
oh.
You a fan?
I thought, yeah, he's good.
KOC's talking about xylophones. Like, I don't know what. Kevin,
trying to
did you
see
watch
you.
the draft? Who are these people?
He went undrafted.
I don't understand.
Dude, he played in the Pac-12. Like
Yeah,
we proudly.
Yeah, tough night for the Pac-12. Good night for the
What happened to
ACC.
Lugans Dort, by the way? He was a
Oh,
guy
no,
that
undrafted.
like Brazdakis that was
Changed his
highly
name.
thought of.
Yeah.
We did what the one Arizona State game we watched was they played Nevada here at Staples Center, and Dort at the time was like he was probably a definite first rounder at the time. I don't know. I say that about everyone.
Someone reported. I forget. It was like Gavoni or Woj, one of the dudes with a bunch of sources, was like he denied a couple draft and stash opportunities from teams in the middle and back half of the second round. So maybe it was
really?
more of a choice to go undrafted. And once he slipped
So
past,
then-
but
so
why
then-
did he slip that far is still the question.
Why did he
though.
choose to go undrafted so he could pick which team he went to instead of being assigned a team?
Well, I mean, you don't want to make
Because-
like $850K, non-guaranteed after the
I
first
thought you
year.
were gonna
though, in the
say he's
second round.
Canadian, right? Do you think that played into it? do you buy into the Canadians? There's just something a little off with them. I'm not saying that's my
No,
opinion. but
I just spent a bunch of time in Canada. Definitely not at all.
you see what I tried to do there?
Almost.
guys.
There's a thought out there, Kevin, that Canadians. I certainly don't hold the thought, but how about you?
Yeah, you take it. Yeah, this baton, yours. Quickly, undrafted guys that we care about. Kai Bowman, love that guy. Care
Yep.
about him. Want him to get a good spot.
Yeah,
Chris
look at my
Wilkes
list,
signing with the New York Knicks. I think is interesting. It was interesting to see Jalen Hands and Chris Wilkes fall so far because I think that they had so much potential when they first went to UCLA. Charles Matthews, I think, is interesting. Obviously, tore his ACL in the Celtics workout, so that hurt him in getting drafted.
Yeah.
But also a talented guy.
The guy I
6'6".
thought was the best player on Michigan.
Yeah.
And caused a lot of debates
Yeah, be
around
interesting
these
to see where
streets.
he goes.
What about Naz Reid? What happened there?
They were like, this guy made $300,000 from LSU. Like, we can't pay him a two-way. I mean, my God.
Jonte Porter, another
Jonte
one.
Porter's another
Tearing
guy.
his ACL twice.
Dean Wade, a
Yeah,
guy
the
that
Porter
I've never
family.
seen play hard.
That is just the whole Porter family in general. What's going on with Michael? Is he ever gonna play?
I mean, he'll play summer league.
Okay.
We're about to find out. Lewis King from Oregon went undrafted as well.
Lewis
right?
King,
Yeah.
Jalen Horde from Wake Forest, a guy that I saw at the start of the year, a top 10 pick.
Jack Salt from Virginia went undrafted. as well.
Was this draft deep? Like secretly deep with like some quality
Shamari
potential
Ponds.
pros.
Listen,
yeah.
yes,
You know what I mean?
I think that about. But see, that's the thing of like watching college basketball is that this happens every year. Where like you could build it all. Like if you could put a team together of 10 guys that went undrafted, and I would lose my mind over that. I'd be like, God damn, dude, that team might win the title. That could win the NBA championship. That team of 10, and then I forget that.
Maybe
That's the
maybe
Phoenix
guys are
Suns.
better.
Maybe the NBA actually needs a third round.
Yeah.
Instead
That's
of getting rid of the
supposed-
draft.
I want to either abolish the draft or add a third round. That's what we do.
So
One of the
you
two.
decide. Yeah, it's one way or the other. Flip a coin. We're going more or less.
All right, final thoughts before let's wrap this thing up and get the hell out of here.
Final
Do we have any
thoughts
final
on the draft. I was pleased by the trades. I was pleased by Cam Johnson going so early. I think it set the tone for shooters matter. Shooters are important. Draft shooters.
All the trades were awesome. It made it very confusing last night. It's still confusing now. but it was an awesome time with all the trades.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Kevin did not watch the draft again, so these are all like generalizations. He's like, man, was that pick
Kevin, here's my theory. I think Kevin is so plugged into the NBA circles with all these guys that he knew the draft before it even happened.
Exactly.
He knew the draft
talking to the guys.
He knew the draft on Monday. He had all the picks lined up and was just like, it all.
Do you think the sources like fight over like who is going to be the source for Woj? You know, like everyone kind of knows the things. Like they're trying to be the first one. Like I told Woj, and then guys like, no, I told Woj.
That's the wildest thing. How does that work? Are people just like scared of Woj? Like he's going to murder them or something? Like why is he? I don't know. I guess I should stop talking. I'm worried about this. But like, how does he have that much influence?
I don't know. He just kind of walked out of the shadows in the corner of the room.
He's unbelievable at what he does. That guy works so hard. It's honestly like inspiring.
But
like,
how?
Like, I'm not sure how. I'm not sure how, man. Like I know one thing. Like this is like off topic here, but it's like Woj and Adam Schefter and like Ken Rosenthal. They had a talk at Sloan before, and they talked about sourcing, and they're like, it's just building genuine relationships with people. Yeah. And like you talk and with your friends, and information gets passed.
I guess that's why I'm not good at this. I don't like people, so I don't like talking to people. I don't like.
It's genuine relationships with the hint.
Yeah.
Just a tinge of a threat.
Yep, that's what it is. My final thought: the broadcast. It was definitely different. I would say I didn't really love it, but it was cool hearing the stories of all the families. But it made for kind of like by the end of the night, not because of the stories, but the rest of it was just kind of boring. That was my big takeaway. Make the draft fun again. We got to spice some stuff up. I don't know. There's too much like. You know what I'm saying? We talked about it.
It would have been cool if like Taco Fall was standing at a goal, and whenever they made a pick, he would just like dunk the pick.
Yeah,
you know.
You know what I proposed last night? Instead of having like the way you announce the picks, like you can have the regular graphics with all the trades in the background, but the way you announce the picks is have like all the insiders on stage racing to report it.
That would
to
be
Adam
awesome.
Silver.
That's a great idea.
You give it to Adam Silver, and then the first person there feeds it to Silver. Just tweet it out.
Yes.
Silver announces the pick.
Announce the pick as they know the pick.
Yeah.
So like instead of doing the thing, where Woj gets the thing and then we wait 5 minutes for Adam Silver to come out.
Yeah.
Yes, he should be running out. Adam Silver should be standing on the stage.
It's a competition.
And you see who the first person running out of the thing is. And they're elbowing each other out of the way. That'd be awesome.
It'd be great.
And if nothing else, at least do like the NFL does this, right? Where they have some sort of guy tied to the team, some legend comes out and announces the pick. Is that later the rounds, I guess?
I think after the first round with Roger Goodell.
You should just Roger's got to get his time in, but do something like that. Spice it up.
Everyone's like,
bit.
"Is that Torrey Holt?" I think that's Torrey Holt.
So you're saying add a third and a fourth and a fifth round?
I don't know, man. I remember being little. The draft was like the biggest deal in the world to me. I loved it. It was the television event that was the NBA draft was unbelievable. And as a television event, the NBA draft is horrible now. It's very, very boring. And I don't know if it's fixable because they do spoil all the picks, but I just don't enjoy watching it that much. What are you laughing at?
Great work last night, guys. Loved it.
Other than that, great.
Other than the waste of my time. No, it was a good time. I enjoyed the draft and a lot of storylines. I think Summer League's gonna be a lot of fun. You're gonna be at Summer League.
Yes, sir.
You're gonna be at Summer League.
Possibly.
Whoa.
Possibly.
No, we're gonna be at Summer
yes.
League. We're gonna definitely be at Summer League. 100%.
Yes.
Kyle will be there.
Yeah.
That's it. The NBA draft. We can flush it. Congratulations, Kevin. You survived another draft.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
We're on to the summer league. Basketball never stops. It's a 12-month-a-year sport.
And everyone look out. Kevin's top 60 picks for next year coming out tomorrow. Get locked in.
Plug some stuff.
I wrote up with the Hawks.
Okay.
So that's on the ringer right now. We get the live show that's still streaming that you guys were on last night.
Mm-hmm.
You guys came on at the end, gave us a boost of energy towards the end of the show.
Yeah. You guys were struggling. You're just like
recorded a podcast at the
running out of energy.
Charks and Chow. Yeah, a bunch of other stuff up on the website.
All right, there you go. Kevin O'Connor never stops working. We love you. Thank you for stopping in. Thank you guys all for watching this. Thank you for listening. Moses is knocked out. He's not going to speak. This is the saga that continues of Moses not actually speaking. But that went well. I think. I don't know. That's it. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening.